and pleasure. Kayla Zuber, and it's always good when she speaks. Every time.
It's always good when everybody speaks. Okay, so as I sent the thing out, I'm going to speak about Yud Tes Kislev and Vayeshev and Hanukkah and us. Yeah, so when I was preparing, I told my husband I was doing the Dvar Torah on the day before Yud Tes Kislev. He pointed out that today, Yud Ches Kislev is the yahrzeit of his Rebbe, the Boston Rebbe, Levi Yitzchak ben Sarah Sasha Zatzal. So may this learning and also breakfast that we sponsored be La'aliyat Nishmatel, and I'll speak about him also. And the Rechov Yerushalayim for the Shlucha Hangivas Bracha Dvar Leah, and for Sarah Leah's husband, Ephraim Fishel ben Sarah, who I haven't heard, but had supposed to have surgery yesterday.
And it's my son's birthday.
Very good.
He's got royal deep in the
Very nice. So from my title, you can tell that I like to tie things together and also to relate it to our lives. And hopefully Shem should help me find the right way to do this. So Parshas Vayeshev is full of stories where things turn out differently from what would be expected. And where from the depths of hardship, salvation arrives, and the characters and therefore the Jewish people rise. Yosef is thrown into a pit by his own brothers and then sold as a slave. When he finally does well in the house of Potiphar, a high official, he's accused of raping his master's wife and is sent to prison. There, he interprets the dreams of the baker and the butler and hopes for salvation from that, but that doesn't happen for another 2 years. Finally, he is taken out of prison and becomes second to Paro. And in that position, he's able to save his father and brothers. Tamar is brought out to be killed, and after showing Yehuda his staff, he does tshuva, and her life is saved. And she gives birth to Peretz and Zerah, Peretz being the ancestor of Mashiach. So things like that's kind of a theme of things working out in different ways than we expect. So tonight is Yud Tes Kislev, which is both the yahrzeit of the Maggid of Medrash in 1772 and the anniversary of the freeing of the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, from prison in 1798, after which he increased his efforts to publicize the teachings of Hasidus. He considered that during his time in prison, it was being decided in Shemayim if the world was ready for these revelations. And when he was freed, he felt that that meant yes. And both of these events deal with the beginning of the spreading out of Hasidus. So I wanted to know, what was the Jewish world into which Hasidism was born? So during the late 17th century, late 1600s, European Jewry was still reeling from the devastation which was wrought by the Khmelnytsky pogroms of 1648 and 1649. The massacres had killed over 100,000 people, and 300 communities were destroyed. Many more people were captured, some of them forcibly converted. And halachic literature of the time deals with agunot and problems that came up to help the survivors rebuild their broken lives. Then after these pogroms, it gets worse and worse. Many families were left without a livelihood. They were displaced and they would move into cities, and they didn't have jobs, they didn't have money. And the vast majority of children were forced to abandon their Torah studies at a very young age, sometimes 5 or 6, to help support their families. And only the wealthy, who were not many, could afford a proper Torah education for their children. And this resulted in a generation of largely ignorant, yet devoted Jews who were for the most part neglected and scorned by the learned elite. And a rift developed between the learned and unlearned Jews, to the point that in many towns, the two groups prayed at separate synagogues. It was like so. And then the regional councils decided that the way to do things was to send preachers out to these poor synagogues to tell them, be good or you'll burn in hell. So it's like really bad. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, from 1648 till 1666, Shabtai Tzvi, with a combination of mysticism and charisma, led thousands of despairing Jews to believe that he was the long-awaited Mashiach. People sold their houses and packed up. I mean, it's hard for us to like see it, but it was a bad time, and people, reached for that.
It was a bad couple of centuries.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did not know that even after he converted to Islam in 1666, thousands of his disciples remained. And there was another false messiah named Barucha, who they felt was the continuation. And then in the 1750s, Jacob Frank arose from within that community as also he's the Mashiach. And both these movements, and especially the Frankist movement, ended up being very anti-halacha themselves. And also they ended up encouraging the church to burn the Talmud, because they were very anti-Talmud, and also proving the blood libel against the Jews. Really awful. At their height, they are estimated to have had 50,000 adherents in Eastern Europe, and then they converted to Christianity. But until they converted, they were small secretive groups within Jewish communities, and there were chayrims, and there were accusations against people. Some were true, some maybe were not true. So into this world, Yisrael, the Baal Shem Tov, was born on the 18th of Elul, 5458, 1698. He remained a hidden tzaddik until 1734, when he began to teach. And he was teaching two aspects. One was for the people who could understand it. He was teaching really secrets of the Torah. But as a general thing, he was teaching that the simple blessing of a simple Jew was as holy as advanced. It could be as holy as advanced Torah study and purity of intention, and also that the way to reach heights was with joy and humility, as opposed to fasting and rolling in the snow and things that had been, thought that was the way to go before that. So that was him. And then learned and holy disciples came to him and continued his work. His immediate successor was the Macabbi and Mishtalem, Rav Dov Ber, and he became the leader, and he was like an organizer. He was also a teacher, but he really organized, and the disciples came to him like really top rabbinic leaders who were attracted to Hasidus, and then he sent them out to the different parts of Eastern Europe. And from that grew up Hasidic dynasties, the big ones of Ger and Karlitz-Stollen and Belz and Chabad and Breslov and Vizhnitz and Satmar. So he's the one that took in these Rabbanim and taught them Hasidus and taught them how to spread it, and they went out. Due to the fears of the established community, the Hasidim would turn also into a non-halachic movement, like the ones before. There was great opposition to Hasidut, and this included chayrims, Rabbanim being fired and run out of town, and the imprisonment of the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, because it was the Misnagdim who went to the Russian government and said that he was supporting their enemies, which was that he was sending money to Jews in Israel, which was part of the Ottoman Empire. So he was, despite all this, the growth of Hasidim in Eastern Europe until World War II was phenomenal, and people really took to it. And then after that, after World War II, especially in America and Israel, they reconstituted their communities, and just as the revelation of Hasidus allowed Jews to get through the decimation of communities in the 1700s, so too it accomplished it after the unthinkable destruction of European Jewry. And Baruch Hashem, in our time of spiritual danger, it nurtures the souls of thousands, including all of us here in the Bas Medrash. And in addition to those who were actually part of Hasidic communities, it touches the lives of countless others through learning and encounters. And for example, the latest Pew survey of American Jewry, which is dismal in so many ways, showed that 39% of American Jews had participated in Chabad activities within the last year. So, that's an amazing accomplishment, really. And the rest of Hasidus is also, people become Bali Tshuva, and also people in other communities learn the Hasidus, and it's really a very nurturing thing. So I wanted to just read a little bit of things from those sources. So from the Macabbi and Mishtalem, I'm reading something. We are taught when one comes to purify himself, he is helped from on high. This is hard to understand. It does not seem to apply to all who want to purify themselves. Sometimes you may want to pray with great enthusiasm before God. You make many preparations, but still, when you are in the depths of prayer, you are disturbed by extraneous thoughts. You may wonder then, where is the help from on high? Actually, this itself is God's help. God sends you these thoughts in order that you should elevate them. So when you may have an extraneous thought involving some evil, love, or fear, you must push aside this thought and attach yourself to the love and fear of God, completing your prayers with great enthusiasm. You can then elevate the spark of holiness out of the klipa, of the evil thing that came in your thought. This itself is the help that is given to you from on high. Yeah, and some quotes, a lot of people here know this so much better than I do, but I'm going to say it anyway. From the Balatanya, who was released from prison on Nites Kislev. Also, those who are far from God's Torah and his service, one must draw them close with strong cords of love. Perhaps one might succeed in bringing them closer to Torah and the service of God. And even if one fails, one has still merited the rewards of the fulfillment of the mitzvah, love your fellow. And then if one truly believes that God, who is the ultimate source of life, goodness, and bliss, is creating everything out of absolute nothingness each and every moment of time, then how can one imagine that anything bad is happening to him? Indeed, the truth is that only good comes from God. It is only that there are two types of good: revealed good, which we experience as good, and hidden good, which comes from a place that our finite faculties are incapable of assimilating it, so we experience it as pain and suffering. So those were two things from the source. Okay, and as I mentioned before, the 18th of Kislev today is the Yortzeit of the Boston Rebbe, who is descended from the several students of the Macabbi and Mishtalem, Rabbi Elimelech of Legence, Tzvi Hirsch of Chortkov, and the Chozeh of Lublin. So the first Boston Rebbe, Rav Pinchas David Halevi Horowitz, has like a really wild story. He was born in Yerushalayim, and there was a based in Galicia, which was part of Austria at the time, and he went as based in as a representative from the Kollel Yerushalayim for arbitration on a financial matter. This was 1914, and little did he know that World War I broke out while he was there. He was an Austrian, even though he lived, the people in the old Yishuv had citizenship from European countries, and he had Austrian citizenship, and so they drafted him.
Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't want to fight in the Austrian army, so he somehow got them to allow him to go to Greece, and he was supposed to spy for them, which he didn't. So when he went to Greece, Greece was neutral. But then when he got there, it took a while to get there, and when he got there, Greece entered the war against Austria. So then he was in danger of being imprisoned for being Austrian. And they were like, no boats going and stuff like that. And there was this one boat going to America, and one of the Rabbanim, who I actually met his granddaughter at somewhere here, not in Tzfat, but in Israel. And this Rav in Salonika got him on this boat, and he ended up in Boston. So that's how that happened. His son, Levi Yitzchak, the second Bostoner Rebbe, was born in Boston in 1921. They had a small community, but at some point they moved to New York. And then in 1944, Levi Yitzchak was called back to lead the Hasidim in Boston when he was, I think, 23. So Boston is the home of many universities. And the Rebbe reached out to secular Jews on these campuses. He had big Shabbatones in his community that hundreds of people came to, and he went himself to these campuses and also to other cities. And hundreds of students became close to Judaism, some going on to be Rabbanim and Torah teachers themselves. And Boston is also home to many important hospitals, and the Rebbe and his wife organized the organization Rofa to help people who needed medical care, and that still goes on today. There's a house people can stay in. A lot of people come from Israel. And he passed away on the 18th of Kislev, 2009. And I'm going to read something that he spoke about, and it's also about Hanukkah, which I wanted to get in. So this is something that he said on the 27th of Kislev, 5771, and I'm not going to read all of it, but pick out the parts. Many are familiar with the famous Beis Yosef Kasha. One flask of pure oil was found, which contained enough oil to light the menorah for one day. A miracle occurred, and the oil lasted for 8 full days. Rav Yosef Karo asked why Hanukkah was established by Chazal as an 8-day festival. Seemingly, the miracle only occurred over the last 7 days. So nothing extraordinary. Why don't we just have 7 days? Because the miracle was the 7 days. So there's a lot of different explanations, but he wanted to talk about the one from the Chasam Sofer, who said that when the Hashmonaim came to Beis Mikdash after defeating the Greeks, it was full of idols, filth, and impurity. As it would be improper to light the menorah in such a place, it was decided to light the menorah outside in the temple courtyard instead of in its normal place. And so the oil that was there was enough for the long night that would last for the longest night, but inside, whereas outside the oil burns much faster because there's wind and there's all kinds of environmental things. So it was a miracle even the first night because it burned the whole night. So that was from the Chasam Sofer. And one of the important themes of Hanukkah was overcoming the spiritual persecution of the Greek nation. Unlike many of our enemies who wished to wipe us off the map, the Yavanim wanted nothing more than for us to join their cultured existence, to abandon our antiquated Torah, chas v'shalom, and acclimate to a more civilized, modern way of life. It was only after rejected their agenda of assimilation that the physical battles happened. So there was a time that Jews lived, okay, in small, tight-knit communities where they could develop spiritually in relative seclusion from the outside world. And now we're not in that. So we really need to change our strategy, and we need to increase more oil. And we need to increase in Torah learning for ourselves, paraphrasing it, for ourselves and for our children, and increase in Torah education so that we have the strength to maintain the flames of our soul so they will shine and radiate for the duration of our lives and generation to come. So as we prepare to enter Hanukkah, we can be grateful for the light of Hasidus in our life and the lives of our people and the changes that it made for all of us that was really needed. And as in the Parsha and in all these other lives that I've spoken about, to appreciate the times that events seem to point one way and it turns the other way, like the story of Hanukkah. And the opponents of Hasidus were afraid that the Hasidim would use the mystical approach to go away from halacha, and instead they cling to halacha. And who's to say that the very opposition, which was so negative, did not help to strain the Hasidim in this derech. And, you know, there are things that we can see that they turn out differently and well, and sometimes we don't see it, but it's hidden and it's there, and we're not always able to understand it. Riva Amuna in a class last week suggested that we write down the times that these things happened in our own lives, and to appreciate it and to look at them when we're looking at the Hanukkah candles, to remember that. And we must also be grateful for the tremendous opportunities and access we have to learning both in person and online. And we should take those opportunities to learn and to spread the light of Torah in our homes and communities and the world. And as the Mashiach said to the Baal Shem Tov, he will arrive when the well springs of Torah spread out to the world, Varatzta, and may it happen, Techet Miyad.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Recording. All right. Okay, so as just thank Kayla for the delicious breakfast that you sponsored today. And as she said, in memory of the Levi Yitzchak ben Sarah Sasha. There you go. It's a complete meal. And there's soup for the soul and soup for the delicious soup. Thank you very much, Dina. So everybody is welcome to help themselves in addition to the rest of our delicious meal. Okay, so our topic today is replacing trapdoors, manhole covers, comes up a lot, and in the lid of a drain. Okay, so trapdoors actually could happen, right? A trapdoor is essentially, it's a vertical door, and it's no different than any door. So as we said, you can't, horizontal door, thank you. A horizontal door, so you can't put it back in place. It's the same thing as doing construction. Okay, just for those who have been around for a while, so we're working on Boneh, the malacha of building, and we're specifically talking about Mosif al Habinyan. One category of Boneh is adding any kind of structure onto an existing structure, not just building a building anew, but adding anything on. So that would be putting doors back in place, or many home repairs would come under the topic of Boneh. Okay, so drain hole covers. Okay, so this is not talking about the kind in your sink. The kind in your sink you're actually able to take out, and comes with handles very often. It's the way that it works. That's how it's set up. It functions in that way. This is talking about like those drain holes that are in bathrooms very often, and people like to do sponging into them. Who does sponge? Who does their floors that way? Oh, you Israelis, you. Okay. 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 Anyway, so the same thing. Like if you have sometimes the same kind of thing on your porch. Okay, that. So you're not allowed to put those covers back on. Okay, that would be an addition on Shabbos. Yeah, we're talking about Shabbos. Okay, so those you are not allowed to put back on. Pardon me? I think specifically the ones that I get. Yeah, both, right. The only kinds that you're really allowed to put back and forth are the kinds that have handles. And there are some that have handles, right? Like anytime you see a handle, that means pretty much like you could do it, because except for the door question. Okay, because handles are means that they're being used to, that their normal use is to lift them up and to put them back. Like it's like the handles are there for the ease of the taker offer and put her back on her. Right. So those, yeah.
So you mean that they're not logically made to easily open up that outside the same category they're in, because they're all in.
Anything that's very often taken out and put back in would be considered its method of use, the normal method of it being used. like the drainer in the sink. It is made to be, right? There's a drainer underneath that thing, right? That doesn't come out. If that would come out, you would not be able to put that back in. That would be consider that broken. But the strainer that comes out, you can take that out, empty out the garbage, put it back in. That's its normal mode of use. Something that's even though it can come out, but it's not doesn't normally come out. Like take, for example, the manhole cover, right? Now a manhole cover one can take out. Usually you need a crowbar and it's quite heavy and it's a lot of work to take it out. But it's not even, and it is taken out, like people who work on pipes, but it's made heavy specifically and it's made without handles, so people do not take them out. So to put them back becomes a question. Now the answer is that actually you can sort of put them back because exactly that. It's considered a sakana. Somebody could be just, kind of walking down the street and, we're shalom, we're shalom. I'm here. Okay, so what you can do, you can't put them properly back into place. What you're allowed to do is to cover it partially so that so Shalom and everybody else will not be hurt falling into this manhole cover. So and I think that's about it for today. That is it. That is all. Okay. Okay, so a few announcements. First of all, welcome back to Rechov Yerushalayim. And welcome back to Sprinza, whose name I know very well. This is Sprinza, who was away for a while. And welcome to all of you who came today. Very happy to see you all. Okay, just want to remind you about the soup. Just okay.
It's very good.
Okay, it's very good. Okay. All right. Just I was in Yerushalayim this week. I saw Teva. Baruch Hashem, she's coming along, but tefillos are still needed for Tzivia, Bas, Leah, and also for Ephraim Stark, Ephraim Fischel, Ben Sura. So we can all just keep davening for both of them. Tzivia is at home. Yeah, she's at home. And heavy operation is not at home for probably not for another week or so. It was uneventful and it did what it was supposed to do. So.
A very close friend of mine.
Okay, amen. Should have a refuah name. Okay. All right, hope not. What's just okay? You could add it in a little later. Okay, thank you very much. It's Meir HaKohen. Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all of our all of our regular classes are taking place today, except that Chaya Lapkin is not feeling well, so she will not be teaching today. And Rabbi Vogel is teaching the 4th in this 5-part series. It's very nice to see it evolve each week. So we're effort, unity, faith, trust, and Hanukkah. I think we're up to trust. I'm not sure, but okay. So next week we're having a Hanukkah party. So yeah. Everybody is asked. We're also doing a book sale. So you still have one more week to bring in unwanted books, and you'll have the opportunity to buy books. And other schmunzes, are you bringing stuff? You bringing scarves also?
I can.
Oh, okay, so there'll be a few other things for sale if you're looking for nice presents for friends and loved ones. Also, everybody is asked to bring we'll do a grab bag because everybody likes to get a present, even though it's not. Okay, so just bring something, 10 shekels, 15 shekels, 20 shekels. I guess that's about the maximum. There's still some. I'll bring it. You want to bring it? Whatever you have? Okay. Okay, I have some new stuff also. All right, what else? Anyways, there's some other fun things that will be happening next week at the Hanukkah party, and so and especially a lot of simcha and gratitude and good cheer. So not to be.
Shall we bring something for the Hanukkah party?
Yeah.
I mean, present.
A present to give to.
No, not but present. I mean, photos.
No, not necessary.
No,
Thank you very much. No,
no wine.
we'll have good. Oh, wine. Okay, now you're not intimidating.
I thought something was missing.
Yeah, okay. Now, all right. Now that's like something. Yeah. What? No, she's not Russian. You don't know? She's not Russian. Okay. Ilana was going to be giving a shiur tomorrow. It's canceled. So if any of you are planning on going, it'll be next month in honor of Teves.
But
instead of.
Ilana not coming tomorrow? She's sick?
She's not sick. Ilana's right here.
Ilana is here.
She's here. Baruch Hashem, she's well. Kayla Lapkin. Kayla Lapkin is my teacher. But the shiur that she was going to give tomorrow, in case any of you are planning on going, it's not going to take place, and hope and will be rescheduled. She's going to talk about Kislev next month, so just stay tuned. Right, there will be learning next Monday. We're just going to end at 12 o'clock. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, excuse me. This coming Monday, the Hanukkah party will go. The Hanukkah party will go till we'll have a shiur. Rabbi Bo will give his last shiur. The following Monday, the last day of Hanukkah, okay, there will be classes, but that day will end at 12 o'clock. There won't be a 12:30 class.
So when is the party?
So the party there are 2 Mondays of Hanukkah.
No, I know, but
Hashem. I'm just saying, there's 2 Mondays of Hanukkah. Okay, and the first Monday next week is our party. There'll be a full day of classes plus other things. Okay, the second Monday of Hanukkah there will also be classes, but we're ending the day at 12 o'clock, and there will be no 12:30 here, so you can get home and be with your grandchildren and whatever else you need. The Hanukkah party is next Monday. The same way that we've done it every year. It's during the day. There'll be different events and different things. Most of it will be a lot of things will be at 12:30. There's a very fun thing that Esther Berkowitz is doing. You want a hint?
Yeah.
Cupcake decorating? Okay.
Judy, please tell everybody not to be well.
What?
Everybody should be well.
What? At 12:30. That's at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock there are different times throughout the day. There's 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. You can go buy books. Yes. Don't worry, it works. It works. It works. Okay, we need another volunteer or 2 to help set up the books next Monday. Come on, ladies. Let me sit apart. Okay, to help price them and to set them up. Okay, great. 8 o'clock? You're on. Thank you very much. Prince, thank you. All right, I think that's all. Dues, money, paying, whatever you can, right here. Okay, I think that's it. Anybody else have an announcement? Yes.
I will try again. I was told I made such a beautiful announcement last week. See, I did. They loved it. So there are 2 Mondays in Hanukkah, which means that the miracle increased. So we still hope that people would want to come in the morning and help us to set up. It will be a miracle. It is going to be a real miracle. But we do believe in miracles. Staying to clean up, people do help cleaning up. But once again, please commit yourself once in 3 months on Monday.
Tell her right now.
So
Tell her.
I'm coming this day, I'm coming that day. That would be a huge help.
This week we were shorthanded.
Happy
Food was
Hanukkah.
not ready. I don't know if you noticed. 2
Yeah.
people were sick. There was not enough, nothing was ready. So if you could, if everybody could take a turn, it would be greatly appreciated. And thank you again to all the people who come every single week to set up. So, All right, that was it. I think that's it. I think that's all. I think we should go learn some Chumash.